Me being naive at the time, I thought justice would prevail. This is a load of nonsense. All these allegations I haven't done any of this. This is just nonsense. This is going to blow over. I'll respond to these allegations, and that's it.
So basically, our allegations were like, we were against music, we were against art, the drawing of eyes. And I was looking at it, I was really baffled. I'm thinking, we've got an outstanding academy. There's artwork over all the corridors. We had an artist that would come in once a year to draw, and put really nice, visuals on the walls. And then I saw this banning of Christmas, and then I saw all these other allegations that's like come through, and I thought to myself, and there were so many allegations that by the time I got to the NCTR, some of them were still there. When the case had started, some of the allegations had dropped because there was just no evidence or nothing had materialized. So when I saw these allegations of no music, no drawing of eyes, safeguarding, banning Christmas, I was like, what's going on here?
Also, was it you that banned Christmas, not me? I mean, they pinned that on me.
Nah, oh no, oh no, I think they came to you first.
No, no.
They came to you first.
No.
There was the individual allegations. There was allegations against me. I was masterminding a plot and to take over the schools in Birmingham and beyond, and so on. I remember the headline from Birmingham Mail, jihadists taking over city schools. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But then they were printing that. And the irony of it, actually, and the failure of the British press, was catastrophic in all of that. But we invited the Birmingham Mail to come into the school, and we'll give them we will give them full access. They can come, they can walk around, they can look at the school, and we'll do an interview, and then they can print whatever they want to print. They can hear the other side, and they can hear this side. And surprise, surprise, they never came. They never accepted. When I had dozens of major media corporations knocking on my door to allow them for interview and to see the school, I invited Birmingham Mail, and they were supposed to arrive, I think, at 11 o'clock, and 10 o'clock they rang and they said, oh, we won't be coming in, which was really quite bizarre. But nonetheless, these are the headlines they were published because they didn't want to alter these headlines. They made their mind up. So if they come in, then that puts an obligation on them that they have to print something. But they weren't interested in that.
We had 3 Ofsted inspectors in the beginning of the week. Then a 4th one came on the second day of the Ofsted inspection, so 4 altogether in the beginning of the week. And then the EFA came in 2 days later, a day later, 9 inspectors in one go. In one of the inspections, they were asking young girls, like 4-year-old in year 4, in year 5, why do you wear the hijab? Has the teacher asked you to wear it? They're asking female staff that, can you meet with Muslim males in private? Can you have a meeting with your leaders? So, and it was this horrid, this preconceived, this prejudiced, biased questions. That was the ongoing narrative. There was a lot of suspicion on Muslim teachers and Muslim leaders at the time. Our expression of faith was a huge problem from them. And I felt that the denominator of the whole process was very discriminative, very prejudiced, and it was very Islamophobic. I'll make that very, very clear. It was an absolute, honestly, now look back at it, it was an absolute witch hunt.
And they came into the schools to essentially simply get whether somebody lied or anything, just to fill in the gap. This is what we're looking for. Give us anything and we'll just fill in the gap. Forget about corroborating it. Forget about finding anything. Forget about strengthening the evidence itself. Forget about speaking to the leadership team. We were raising standards, year on year, school after school, and yet it was not enough. Because why? We're not really seen to be, by the state, to be British enough.
There was an MP who phoned me up and asked me that I should resign in the interest of the community. It's going to damage the interest of the community, and it was giving community, bad publicity and the media offensive. To save the community, I should step down, was what I was told. So I remember, I was rather curt in my response to that particular request, and I said, does justice mean anything to you? I said, I've done nothing wrong. I'm not resigning. And we've served this community for a long time, and there's no way I'm resigning. You can forget about that. It's not going to happen. So the entire episode, if you remember, it lasted for 5.5 months. So I did not resign. So what the impact of that was, they wanted me to resign. That was the intention from the outset. So I did not resign. So therefore, the offensive kept on getting heavier and heavier. The attacks kept on getting heavier and heavier. Interventions from various government organizations kept on getting intensified. And that's because I was not stepping down. That was the objective that they were pursuing. But in the end, the funding notice was issued that we will withdraw your funding because you're not meeting these requirements. So at that point, some people from within the leadership team as well, they asked me a question. They said, Mr. Alam, do you think you can win against the government? But I'm not going to, because resignation would indicate that I have done something wrong. And I'm not prepared to go down that route at all. We've done absolutely nothing wrong. And I'm very proud of what we've done for our children here and for the community. And I will not resign.
So what was the point then? What was the actual point that caused you to resign then? What was the steps that you took, noted the resignation points, and then?
I wasn't really, the school didn't belong to me or anything. It wasn't my personal property in that sense, really. We were working for a cause in that sense. So if I wasn't going to be here, and if the education funding was going to be withdrawn, then I would be not here anyway, in one sense, in due course. Maybe 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. But that's what the eventual outcome would be if the trajectory continued as it was. So with it was very painful for me, actually. I didn't sleep very well the night before at all. I don't think I slept. And so people were saying, perhaps something can be rescued as far as the success of the children was concerned. So the leadership would remain in place. What we negotiate was that the existing leadership would remain in place. Yeah. And the trustees basically would be replaced by other trustees. I also said that there should be some trustees from the community should be there as well, and those conditions were accepted as well. I mean, it's very stressful, obviously, dealing with those things, but I was dealing with them as it came, without sort of thinking anything about it. And we did what we could and what we thought was right and proper. We did that. But I remember that when I came home and I told my wife actually that I resigned, and she said, "You shouldn't have resigned." She said, "You should not have resigned. You should allow them to force you out, and you should not have resigned." And I remember a very sort of sinking feeling at that time. I remember that very well. And I remember that evening, actually, at that moment, I had tears rolling down my eyes as well. It's kind of dropped on me because this is the education of these children was very important to us. I would do for these children what I would do as if they were my children. That's the way I always spoke about them. That's the way we always tried to, serve them, if you like. And that was one of the success stories, that the high expectations. We should educate these children as if they're our own children.
There was a real pain that was felt in you resigning because, the track record was such that of, raising standards in these schools. But there was almost a sense of relief, albeit momentarily, that, okay, the attacks will stop now. But in hindsight, if you reflect, actually, the intention wasn't just to remove you, it was to cripple the whole thing.
I was at the school only for a few months, but when it was time, I felt vulnerable. So when I saw your resignation, I felt a lot of emotion. I felt, I've known Tahir for a long time. We worked on some very important projects together as well. And then I thought to myself, then I saw Dr. Da Costa resign, and he was very upset. Absolutely brilliant governors, all of a sudden gone. That summer was a very difficult summer. That summer, it was a heavy weight on my heart. Like the bounce, that 14, 15 year, like kind of, where you enjoy your holidays, you do a bit of work in the day, take your family out, you enjoy yourself. But all I felt that entire summer was the problem, like you said earlier on, right? It was that, the uncertainty.
One of the things that we have on our side is the truth of the story. So we know what actually happened. We were raising standards in these schools. But the issue is that when we were tired, I remember I was hugely tired going into the summer. Clark's report came, but then on the back of that, we were then suspended. I remember I was driving to London to see a friend, or I was coming back from seeing him. And the letter came, you know, and I got a call from my home saying that you've been suspended. And I wasn't in Birmingham. I wasn't there at home. And the head of HR rang me saying, you need to come into school right now. You need to drop off your laptop. You need to drop off your ID and return everything to the school. And I said, I'll come tomorrow because I'm not actually in the city. And I remember her saying to me, no, you need to come. If you don't, then we're going to take action against you. And this is somebody I'd worked with for a few years. And it was at that point I realized that even more,
The nastiness of it.
that there is no humanity of mind that's being seen here, and felt hugely helpless. I mean, I was feeling helpless when the flurry of articles that were coming out against us, and thereafter I know that just feeling hugely crippled after that. I think the moment you resigned, and after that, then turning up to the to any of the tribunals or the hearings, or was almost just a reflection of just how much pain there was in the community. I think that was a symbol of what was taken away from us.
I didn't really think I would be suspended at this point. I thought it's going to stop here. Why? Because I've done nothing wrong. I thought I haven't done anything. They've got nothing on me. Why would I even entertain the idea of me being suspended? So I go to Hajj pilgrimage, which had been booked a year earlier, approved by the school. My wife is working at the school at the time, and she's an English teacher. So I go to Hajj, and I hear whilst I'm in Hajj that another middle leader has been suspended. That's when that's when he dropped on me. Like, what? Like, he's the same level as me. He's been suspended. Okay, it really spoiled our time in Saudi. Really, it was a horrible. I started thinking also, like, what's going to happen? So I go back to the school as a new leadership. There's a climate of fear in the school. There's uncertainty. There's suspicion. You don't know who you can trust. It was horrible. So I'm teaching normally an Urdu lesson, and at the time I'm stressed out, really under a lot of stress. And for some reason, it's never happened to me before. I have a dizzy spell and I collapse. Honestly, I collapse on the floor whilst I'm teaching, and I think called an ambulance. I had to be taken home. I was off sick for a week, and it was then that I received a letter from the school initially that because of you being in a WhatsApp group, you've brought the school into disrepute. We're suspending you.
The new chair of governors comes and sits me down, and he says to me, look, we're going to have to suspend you. So then I was like, I goes, on what grounds? And he goes, oh, you had a meeting with an EFA inspector the night before, and then, because of certain things that had come out in that meeting, we're going to suspend you. He didn't want to suspend me. He was very reluctant to suspend me. And then that was it. I was suspended, and then I collected my stuff. They escorted me to my office, collected all my personal stuff, and then jumped in the car and I drove. On the way back, on the M69, I broke down. I just cried. I honestly, nothing phases me in life a lot, but it emotionally, it just broke me down. I had to ring my family and tell them, look, I'm suspended, I'm on my way home. She couldn't believe it. 14 years, 15, 16 years of dedication just taken away. So
The offensive against the schools, the unjust, unfair inspections of the school, the investigations, the nature of those investigations, the type of questioning that we spoke about earlier, and I did think actually that if I resign, then perhaps the school might get some kind of a chance, and other people may be able to continue who are in the school, whatever, because I thought maybe they want to remove me or something. But it wasn't that. You see, it was a witch hunt that was going to go all the way to the nth degree. And it was a witch hunt that was going to pursue everybody they could get their hands on. On the most flimsiest of grounds. They didn't care about procedures. We've not talked about the court cases and those kind of things yet. But it was nothing short of a witch hunt.
Keep the faith.